Sean was very excited by that.
I was.
Okay, hey everyone. Thanks for joining us at our Wine and the Socials event. Just before we get started, I'm Vanessa. I'm the founder of Telesomm. Telesomm is an app where you can find wine tastings with lovely wine professionals such as Kelly and Sean, who are on this call. Before we jump into it, I just wanted to say that I am on the land of the Lower Tanana Dene, so that's where I am. Everyone else is where they are. And I want to thank them for preserving this land because it's absolutely beautiful. And if you guys ever want to come here, you're welcome to enjoy it as I do every day. I'm going to have each of our wine professionals just like quickly introduce themselves and what brought them here today. And then we are also donating money to 3 charities. We have the Ferry Blockade, are they Blockade or Brigade?
Blockade.
Blockade. We've got Truly Living Well, just goes off the tongue. And then we have Crossroads Foundation. And we will probably just round up and be donating $20 to each of them. I hope one day these events bankrupt me and then I have to like liquidate my retirement fund to give away money for these Telesomm events. Not today, but I do love even just the little amount and also just giving a little bit of a platform to these small local organizations that are doing so much good in our communities. So thank you guys for choosing those. All right. I will let you guys decide who intros yourself first.
Ladies, you too, please.
Okay, I think I'm geographically furthest from Vanessa, so I'll go first. There you go. She's in Alaska, and I am Kelly Cornett, and I am in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm the founder of A Cork in the Road, LLC, but my background actually is in wine production. I used to manage a winery in Virginia. So Candace, I know we were just chatting before this about sticky harvest time and cleaning, and I know all about that. Did production and sales for a winery in Virginia. But A Cork in the Road is an education-based company. We do events and promotions of the Atlanta wine community in the Southeast, and I host a little podcast too. So that's me.
It's a really good podcast too.
I can go. My name is Candace Keaton. I go by Candace Lynn. I run the page Wine It On Me on Instagram, even though Instagram was going crazy today. But for me, it's like I say wine education, but I'm like wine entertainment and then like wine connector too. Like I like to connect people to delicious, affordable wine. But yeah, so it's like as I'm learning, I like to teach and show what I learned to, my social media. What just started off as, enjoying wine. And then I got really serious about it and started taking classes and getting certifications. But yeah, so I run Want It On Me, soon to be a website that I'm working on. But yeah, so that's me. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, hell yeah. So I'm Sean, and I am the self-proclaimed Spanish wine guide, and that is the name of my little side business. But I'm in wine marketing full time, but on the side, I like to teach people about Spain and Spanish culture through wine. So my degree was in the Spanish language, and I was a teacher and an interpreter for a while. But I kept coming back to food and wine, and I realized that's where I needed to be. So I use wine as an introduction to the culture and hopefully help people fall in love with it. But my main issues are biodynamic and organic wines that are sustainably made and small production, and introducing people to that in a way that they don't feel intimidated. So my whole thing is there are hundreds of millions of people who know more about wine than I do, but I try to bridge the gap between people who know nothing and make them feel good about it and empowered instead of gatekeeping knowledge, which happens way too much in this industry. So that's me in a little bit. So.
Oh my God, awesome. I'm so excited to have you guys here. So we were going to use a Jamboard today. Have you guys used these before? Because we can do a little intro demo. I put the link in chat. Let me know if you're able to click that and open it. I see two little 3 little, okay, you guys are in there. So the way this works is it's basically an interactive whiteboard. So you can make a little sticky. Actually, I should probably share my screen so that people who are not participating can see. But you can make a little sticky and you can drag it around. You can delete it. You can add images, although I will say if it gets raunchy, we are done. We are done. John, watch yourself. No, just kidding.
I know, I already know.
I feel like he's the troublemaker here. All right, let me share my screen so you guys can see. Let's see if it'll let me do that. It's like has new permissions. How's that look to you guys? Oh, you don't see it. All right. Well, will you guys test out making some stickies in Jamboard and moving them around? And you can just throw whatever ideas you have out there on this. I was basically hoping we could do a spectrum of worst thing ever to best thing ever related to wine and social media. No raunchy. I mean, I feel like OnlyFans and wine, like, is that happening? I'm kind of a little curious now that you brought it up, and I'm gonna try and figure out my screen share.
Sorry. There's definitely a market for that somewhere. Like there's 100% a market for that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So
One of my best things that I wrote down in like my brainstorming for this, the best thing is that wine and social media, there is something for everyone. So I will not throw off the table that wouldn't be possible someday, because you know what? Everybody finds their people and finds their community. So who am I to say what's possible and what's not?
100%. Cool. This is cool. See, this is something we should touch on too, especially with wine and social media. Like I haven't seen this before, and this is really interesting and cool. And so there's always something new to learn, like, I don't know. I hate that whole idea of mastering, like that concept of mastering something, because things are always changing. So, wow.
It's pretty magical. This is something that has crossed over from my wine life and then like the life I live outside of wine. I use this stuff like every day at work, and it's way more fun to use it for wine purposes. So I have never made a Jamboard about wine or social media. So this is way more fun.
Yeah, I use it all the time in work too. So this is free with every Google account. You have Gmail running your email, you've got Jamboards. And they're also a physical thing, which I've never seen and apparently costs like $10,000. So
Wow.
I will have to quit and leave and come back in order to screen share. Are you guys okay with us not screen sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, Courtney, put in chat if you can't see it on your computer, and I will leave and come back, but I don't want to interrupt the conversation. Ooh, okay.
I used Jamboard before too. Like I said before, prior to starting, I was an elementary teacher for 8 years. So last year we did virtual, so that was a whole experience. So yeah, so I used that. So this is way more. It was still fun and interactive with the students, but this is kind of cool too to talk about wine.
You didn't mention you were also a superhero, Candace.
Yeah.
Golly.
Wow. Woo! Teaching elementary school during last year.
Yeah, that was the icing on the cake. I said, I love y'all, but gotta go. Yeah, it was an experience. Like I said, I learned a lot. I learned like Jamboard and all those interesting techie things, which I won't say I'm definitely not the most techie person. Kind of tech challenged at times, but yeah, so Jamboard is really, really cool.
Sweet. Okay, I'm glad you guys are down, because some people get overwhelmed by a new tool on the fly. So I'm glad this works.
And I'm visual too. I'm a visual, so I like all the visual things.
This is so cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna read off. We have nothing in the middle. I mean, this is Spectrum people, so
Oh, I didn't realize that. I was just going. I was one or the other, like good or bad. Did not
Yeah.
think about middle road
Yeah.
here. I was
We
just
live in a
thinking
polarized society, you
it's
know.
very
That
polarized
is
today.
true. That is true. Okay, we got two connections here in the best thing ever. There's something for everyone. We've got Samuel Gay, who is amazing.
Oh
And
my
on
God,
the
it's true.
last slide, I have like accounts you have to follow. And so we'll add his, I believe that's his pronoun. Sense of community, breaking down barriers is in best thing ever with wine and social. Wow, worst thing ever just got real big as I looked away. Okay, so TikTok dances, you guys are against? Solidly against?
Yeah, I mean, I feel TikTok makes me feel old. I gotta learn how to use it better. Do the two of you know how to really manipulate TikTok? I'm really bad at it. So maybe that's what it is.
I just
No.
have one to watch others' videos. I've never made one.
That's it, Candace. Mine's a private account now because I just like to be able to log in and see. But I did during like all the quarantine stuff, like I tried to learn some of the dances and like I got really sweaty while doing them and it was a great workout. Not sharing it publicly, but like trying them. And then, you know, I had my husband was like, "You're an adult. Why are you doing that?" So I was like, "You're
He's
right."
like, we're at the supermarket, Kelly.
So there's that. But some people are very good at it. And recently I've seen some pretty fun wine centric things, but I think it's actually pretty limited on the TikTok space right now.
Yeah, I will say just from a marketing perspective, I know that everybody's trying to cash in on TikTok because it's kind of nascent. And so people want to harness that, like Facebook, I don't know. I feel like Facebook's kind of fading away and Instagram is really where it's at if you're going to use social media for wine, but TikTok is an untapped market, to expand your brand or to learn about a very small production type of wine that you would have never heard about because it's not profitable to sell in grocery stores. It's hard to find at restaurants, and especially during COVID when a lot of restaurants are closed. So yeah, I think TikTok we better get good at it or else we're gonna get left behind,
Yeah, it's coming for us.
Mhm.
Okay, so worst thing ever. We got favors the fortunate. Can someone explain that one?
Okay, yeah, sorry. So I put that one, especially coming from a gay perspective, social media tends to favor if you're good looking or wealthy. And so, or white, or, like all these different things, like where privilege is kind of really brought to the forefront. And so like we call it like Gaystagram. And it's like somebody can write the most asinine post, but if they're good looking, then they get 1 million likes. But if the same person who was less fortunate in the looks department posted that, no one would pay attention to it. No one would look twice at it, so there's privilege and it favors the fortunate. Same with like, I spent a year studying in Italy, like that's a privilege and not everybody can do that. And so sure, it's compelling content, and I'm not saying that wasn't a transcendent experience for you and it was beautiful and I'm glad you're sharing it, but it favors the fortunate, especially also too, it also favors somebody who has the time to do that. Like they don't have to work their grind all the time. You know what I mean? Like they have time to create thoughtful content. And so that means that not all the time, but it implies sometimes that they're not struggling so much either financially or socially or psychologically, so that's what I mean when I say it favors the fortunate. And I also put long-winded posts because sometimes they're beautiful. Someone writes this really cool, like their experience with harvest or a time when barriers were broken, and there's, it's a long post. So that's why I put it in the middle. It's good. But then other times it's like, I decided to quit my $500,000 a year job, and I moved to Tuscany. And it's like, great for you. I have student debt. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, I gotta stop drinking wine. I'm gonna start swearing, but you know what I mean? Like so it drives me nuts that it really does. It favors the fortunate for now. And I would love to hear if there's a rebuttal or more perspective, but that's just kind of I don't know, my 2 cents. I can keep going.
No, I put pressure to look good, and I think it kind of falls in that category because, and I'll add to that the one that I put of like what's paid versus authentic. I think it kind of falls in that category too a little bit. And I was trying to think about one of the hardest things as a user of social media when you're trying to find whose voice you want to listen to and whose stuff you want to see. Is it the stuff that like looks really good plus the authenticity? And so I think a lot of times the look really good wins out sometimes over, really some solid just knowledge and education content if it doesn't meet the other attributes. And so it's a difficult world to navigate to find that authenticity. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. What else we got in there?
Yeah, I see influencers who are only out for themselves. Clean wine just got highlighted by someone. Anyone want to talk about those?
Yeah, that's also, celebrities love this clean wine thing where it's just the buzzword and they're cashing in on it, and they have considerably higher resources than the average wine consumer. And so they're manipulating the market with this whole clean wine thing, but no one really knows what it means. And in the end, it ends up being just as damaging or with chemicals in it. And they don't have to disclose any of that information. All they have to do is say, oh, this wine is clean. It's clean wine, and there's no rigor, there's no standards or anything. And it's just a buzzword. So people hear that and they're like, oh, this wine is clean. That means it's good. And I'm not going to name any names, but so-and-so said it, and her Instagram, she's got 6 million followers. So she must know what she's talking about. And it's like, no, that's just not how that works. So, and then she barrels over, this small farmer who has a tiny plot and is just struggling to survive and is actually making organic wine, with nothing added to it. So that's what I mean when I say clean wine. And that's
I
why
saw you're nodding a lot.
it is. Yeah. Sorry.
Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely just a marketing ploy. Like I said, I think it also comes down to, a lot of people using their celebrity who have really no idea what's actually goes into it. It's just like, because I have the resources let me just slap my name on it. Basically, yeah, they're just slapping their name on it and calling it theirs, but not really. And there's some more that are in the more into the thick and in the process than others. But yeah, it's definitely, again, favors the fortunate. I think in that point, they favors the fortunate because they have their celebrity status, they have, financially. But yeah, so I think a lot of it's just like, hey, I have the money, let me just do it. Let me put my name on it because I know that it'll sell. But yeah, I have the funds, why not? So yeah, so like with the whole clean wine, I'm like, because I've had friends ask me, and I'm like, to be honest, I don't even know what that means. I have no idea what that means. I can't tell you. I've never heard of it. So I don't think that that's a real thing. But yeah, so it's just, but then like you said, you have someone that has these millions of followers and, that celebrity status again. It's like, hey, well, if that person's drinking it, and they say it's okay, then yeah, it must be great for me. So yeah, but definitely a marketing ploy, definitely a marketing tool for sure. But yeah, so like you said, for me, it kind of gets, how can I say it nicely? It just like,
We have to be nice.
You have to be nice, Candace.
like I said,
Please don't be nice.
right. It's like one of those things where, again, it just comes like back to favors the fortunate. If you have the money, you can just literally like, let me invest, put my name on it. I have nothing to do with it. I haven't even been to the winery. I haven't even been in the vineyard. I have never stepped foot, but I have the funds. It always reminds me of like, because I have a best friend who went to school for fashion design and like really took the 4 years of university learning, the process of making clothes. And then you have, hey, do what you do. not hating. If you can do it, do it. But then you have people that just, like celebrities that like never stepped inside of a shop, don't know how to sew, don't know how to do anything, but they just slap their name on it. And it's like, I have my friend here who's like really like makes amazing dresses, amazing garments, but like doesn't have that celebrity status, but went to school for it. And it's just like, you have like different celebrities that have these, lines, these fashion lines, and they're selling for $600 for a pair of shoes or $600 for a pair of pants, so that always just gets me, because I've known her since, like 5th grade, and and she's still doing it, and she still makes amazing, but like she doesn't have that celebrity status. She doesn't have that, and I think makes way better designs and clothing than what you see in these celebrity lines. But that's what that just reminds me of. It's just like, I have never stepped foot. I don't know what's going on, but my name is on it and I'm getting the, profit from it. But
Yeah.
Gosh, now I want to see your friend's clothes.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna have to send you some pictures.
Right.
Yeah, she makes
Drop the links.
beautiful. She makes beautiful, beautiful, beautiful designs. Like, she's so talented. It's like, I always wish that I could draw too. I can do really great stick figures, but she's really talented. It's just like reminds me of it's kind of like that,
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why I just added this little one too. Like, the best thing ever about social media is the democratization of wine, because now we're getting these smaller producers who can market themselves on a free platform,
Right.
that can reach millions of people in the world. And I think that's it's all tied into the connections and breaking down barriers and a sense of community, so that is a good thing, like, I will say that. So not to just like trash the people that are doing the wrong thing, like, there are people who are using it very, very appropriately and doing it right, and doing it justice. But yeah, it drives me nuts, because all you did was have money. Like, all you did was have money. And a lot of the time you're wrong. Like, a lot of the time, sorry, your opinions suck. Like, when you have money, it's like you're just like going out there. Sorry, we can have a post chat about all that. But yeah,
I love that you say that about the small producers, because I would say that's a really, really best thing ever for me, is finding these producers that never would have spent the money on the marketing or reached me in Atlanta, Georgia, but I can find them online. I can see what they're doing. They also can open up a microphone, put a free podcast out, and I learn the difference of what they're doing in their farming and what they're doing in the cellar. And then I'm like, oh, I like what you're doing. And it's made me realize that not everybody does that. So the free, platforms to be able to share some really great knowledge and experience is definitely one of the best things ever to me. I love that.
hell yeah.
Okay, I'm adding that one. All right, can
Free
I have you
platform.
guys shift to the second slide? And we're going to keep talking about all of this, so don't shut down.
Yeah, let me screen grab it real quick.
Well, we're going to
Okay.
make it better. So I was hoping that we could kind of split into groups. One person can remind everyone what all the Scooby-Doo characters are like, because to be honest, I only remember 3 out of the 2. And then the other ones of us can make sure that all of the social media platforms where wine is happening is represented in the stickies, and then we can start dragging them onto the characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's our Scooby-Doo archivist who wants to?
Well, does anybody else feel strongly about it?
No, I Googled it right before this because I didn't know. So
I know like
would not be your best.
Velma, I know, doesn't she always like kind of save the day though? Like,
yeah, Velma was like the brains.
Yeah, she's the brain. She always kind of saves the day. But then Daphne doesn't really do anything.
Daphne, I feel like, was kind of a trope, wasn't she?
Yeah.
A little bit, like,
she just kind of is there. She's the cute one that like
she's pretty. Well,
Isn't she kind of danger prone though too? Like I remember like she's kind of like clumsy, like something kind of goes wrong. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I feel like that, but I also feel like she was able to kind of manipulate some people in a good way and like
Yeah.
that to her advantage, I
She
think.
used, yeah, she definitely used that. She used her looks and
Yeah.
everything to her advantage. I think, but then Shaggy, I think, is like the underdog, but I feel like he also, well, him and Scooby, aren't they like the closest?
And they're the heart. Yeah, they're definitely
Yeah.
the heart.
Heart,
For
yes, and the
sure.
companionship,
Yeah.
loyalty, yes.
Heart
Okay,
and
now
then
what's the
spirit.
guy's name?
Fred.
Fred.
Fred. Yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Fred is very, I don't know. This is like I don't have a proper term. He's like the jock, like just the good looking, just
Yeah.
there. Not really. I feel like Velma is the one. Velma is the one who you need on your team.
Yeah, Velma was my
Right.
favorite.
Yeah, Velma is who you need. I feel like they tried to make her feel she's the one. She's the one you need.
Totally.
And
Okay, so can you
Scooby's your
guys,
buddy, right? Scooby's the buddy. Scooby's like there for what
Yeah.
he's
but he's also
whatever.
like the scaredy cat.
True.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
True.
Little
Yeah,
scaredy
you
dog.
can't have Scooby without Shaggy. You can't have Shaggy without Scooby. I
That's
feel.
true.
Yeah.
That's very
Ooh,
accurate.
ooh, this is gonna be super metaphorical.
Okay, so
I'm-
drag
Do we
them
all
as
get
you
to do
see.
this? Yeah. And how
And
does this work? Do we all get our take, or how does it work?
I just think people should start working, and then, we'll figure it out.
Oh my God.
Oh, fighting for the post-its. Okay. Oh my
Which ones you think
gosh,
are
okay.
which? And I misspelled OnlyFans. And are we missing any? Is wine social media happening anywhere else?
Like shoot Insta.
This is pretty.
No,
This
I
is
think
pretty-
that's kind of legit. Well, no,
Oh, wait,
I don't
no.
think Pinterest is like a thing. Well, maybe it's for wine. I don't know. I don't go on there if it is. No, I think these are the heavy hitters. I do.
This is tough.
Oh
How
yeah.
do we
Oh, good
feel-
idea. Good idea.
Yes,
Whoever just
yeah,
did that.
yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that this is kind of.
Whoa, Velma's Insta? I would
Okay,
not have
good.
guessed
I
that.
was
Oh my God,
thinking-
I'm
I was
so
thinking Twitter for
fascinated.
Scooby too. Perfect. Whoever put Twitter for Scooby, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, that's.
Really?
I just moved that, Candace. That was me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
LinkedIn
no.
is giving
I'm
me
blown
very
away already.
How do we feel about Velma being on TikTok? Because she's smart and ahead of the game a lot of the time.
but she's
I don't
not
know for wine.
she's not coordinated. She's not like
Oh, okay. Yeah.
she gives me very shy, like I'm in the background. Like I don't want to be in the front. Like,
More content oriented rather than
right.
maybe looks or presentation
Which is
or
why she gives me
lighting.
She gives me like her resume would be A1. She gives me very LinkedIn. Like her resume
Okay.
is great.
I love it.
And like you said, content. I feel like she could be the content writer, like maybe not the face of someone's thing, but she can like write up people's content. And then like.
So is Shaggy like Insta, where it's like everybody loves him and they like he's the heart and everybody likes to be on it, or no? Or is Velma both LinkedIn and Insta?
I think, yeah, I think, oh.
Well, when you say the heart of it, like who is everybody's favorite? I know it sounds terrible to say, but like maybe like I feel like the wine community that I interact with the most, and I just only speak from my own experience, is mostly Instagram. That's where I find the winemakers, the wine marketers. I find like, so where does that live? Like, where is everybody's? I mean, in that sense, is it Scooby? Like, is it like that's everybody's buddy?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Oh.
That's a good point.
Could we do this and then Shaggy's Twitter, because lots going on, you know what I mean? A lot of people are here and there, and you feel kind of manic and like crazy. Like, look at his face right there. Like he looks.
Yeah, and Twitter,
Twitter face.
Like Twitter can get really messy. Like if you really want to say how you feel, go on Twitter.
Ooh,
like,
Ooh,
so,
That's where everybody was today. It was so
yeah,
It was so funny.
Even Twitter had like a pretty golden nugget today of, well, hello everyone. That's literally what its post was. And I was like, got it. Okay.
Twitter is my favorite. Twitter is my absolute favorite. It's where I get my news. It's where I validate my own feelings, because if I'm like, oh, that was nasty, and then I go online and I see 800 tweets and people are like, did anybody just see that? And I'm like, yes, okay, I'm not alone. Great, and there's lots of subsets of Twitter too,
Yeah.
like there's gay Twitter for sure. And gay Twitter.
Right. My
God.
friends try to get me on Twitter and they're like, no, they say the same thing. You can really learn a
forgot
lot,
one, guys.
a lot of good information. But for me, it's overwhelming because it's like it never stops. It's constantly like
It is a little
refreshing.
overwhelming. Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's
I
like New
can't
York
keep up.
City subway, or those two.
Yeah,
It's
a
like
lot.
New York. Yeah.
How do we
See, I
feel
don't know
about
much about Reddit. I don't know. I've heard. I've never been on it. I don't know.
There's a really good natural wine channel on Reddit, and you can like learn a lot about producers and just kind of get the pulse of the market and hear what people are saying. So I like Reddit. It's mostly for like Game of Thrones related content that I'm on Reddit.
Is it more into like if in that sense maybe it is more in the Velma? I feel okay with it sitting there if you the
That's
way
why
you're
I put it
describing
there.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
I feel okay about that. The only thing I was just starting to think about is with Instagram and the reels, I often see TikToks as reels
Mhm.
and vice versa.
Right.
So is there a fun, goofy component that goes with the Instagram? So does TikTok sit kind of adjacent to it? Like that, I don't know.
I have it. You know how the villain is always somebody they know and they pull the mask
Right.
off? The Insta is also the TikTok and he pulls the mask off. It's like
But what does he say? Oh, what does he always say? What is it? I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you.
meddlesome
meddlesome
kids.
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
All right, let me try and find a picture of one of the villains and we can put it in there. But we could break it into like Insta Reels and Insta,
Right.
I like how it sits right now. I'm just curious about the reels because honestly, I see most people sharing their TikToks there, but they remove the TikTok branding and then repost it with the reel, So, but that's relatively new that's happening, but it is kind of TikTok in disguise, I will say.
I'm happy with how this sits. I think we did okay. What do you guys think?
Me too. Yeah, I feel good about it. The Twitter one is interesting because I don't really go on there as often. That's why I'm intrigued, Sean, that you like your Twitter, which I was on there today laughing at all the jokes about everything else down. I have found that a lot of businesses are on Twitter. So when I want to reach out to a winery, all the wineries seem to have that. It's a little less influencer world. It's a little more business to business world is what I've found in wine, at least on Twitter.
100%.
But I still think the Shaggy works there because it's still kind of like all over the map.
Yeah.
And friends and friends and business to business. Like I can do that. That makes sense.
Totally.
Well, there's the mask. Nice.
Yeah.
That one's
it's
weird.
TikTok masquerading on Insta.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty
Love
good.
it. I love how y'all
this
just
is
like,
awesome.
yeah, Daphne's definitely OnlyFans.
You gotta
Definitely.
use it, man,
Funny.
but anyway.
It's interesting because I feel like a lot of the negative comments that we were talking about are about Instagram wine, like not Twitter wine. I could talk a lot of trash about wine Reddit actually, but like none of the other stuff is coming up. Wine Facebook, I don't know. Actually, I never hang out there.
I need
Okay.
to get on Reddit, clearly.
You guys want to go to the next one?
Yeah. I
Okay.
feel like Facebook is
Facebook, yeah.
it's diminishing. It's like archaic. I feel like
I just use it to fight with my dad's friends on it. And it's like, what am I doing right now? Like,
yeah, like I can go days without going on Facebook, but like I feel like Instagram, that's a daily thing. Whereas Facebook, it's just like I don't know. It's just it's there. It's there.
I agree with that. I used to use Facebook for my business page to post all of my events. And in the world of pre-Instagram being that was actually my main driver for events. But that was all I posted to the business page. Otherwise, it was too crossed over with personal life and it got real messy real quick. So left that separate.
Okay. Since you're verging into the before times, on slide 3, I just added Facebook events.
okay.
So I am relatively new to wine and wine Instagram. So I don't know about what happened before. And I don't know how wine ran without Instagram and Reels and TikTok and all of that. So I was curious if you guys wanted to educate me on how did wine work without social? Because I can't imagine it.
Rich white men.
So I managed a winery in 2011, so 10 years ago. Is that the before times? Not quite the before. There was internet in that time, but we had a Facebook page. The winery Facebook page was the driver of everything, and I posted videos of harvest, the tasting room, events, but that was it. I mean, we only had a Facebook page for the winery. And then it drove people from the website to the Facebook page and vice versa, but we weren't using other platforms at the time. But imagery was the biggest thing. If we wanted label recognition, if we won an award in something, it was like give the image that we couldn't get out through the website as frequently updated. So Facebook was the driver 10 years ago. And that's my only before times experience with that.
I feel like it was like print media, like like
Wine
magazines,
enthusiast.
New York
Yeah.
Times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they really were running the show. Who was that guy, like the travel show guy? Rich
Oh, Oz.
Stevens.
Rick Steves.
I'm talking
Rick
like
Steves travel.
before times.
Oh,
Yeah.
before times. Yeah, well, there was Oz
Pre-Bourdain.
Clark.
Walter Cronkite.
Like who was talking about wine? I don't know. Yeah.
I put Robert Parker, and it's actually something I see a lot here in Detroit because in the northern suburbs, there's a lot of old money and there's a lot of just devotion to points, which I don't give a fig about points. Like I really don't care at all, but there are still particularly men who are very, very concerned with points. And it might be a metaphor for something else, but it is points. Oh, I got 96 points. And what sucks though is that there was actually the Robert Parker effect with winemaking. So people were like, okay, he's giving out these points to this type of wine. We got to make our wines that way, which to me is absolute horse caca, because again, it goes back to the whole, this is a rich white man's game. And the only people that are going to be making those kinds of wines are the people that are going to be making those styles of wines. They're making it for a very specific type of person, so that is that. But that's what it was. And isn't it still that way? Kind of like, I mean, not nearly as much, I will say. Like I've been in the food and beverage industry for over 10 years now, and specifically in wine for about 6. And even in that 6 years, things have changed significantly, which is great. Like I'm all about it. And honestly, I think social media is a huge driver in that. But yeah, beforehand, points. Wine enthusiast, get your points. Wine spectator, get your points. And even those things, they do the best new sommelier, the best wine list. You have to pay for those awards. Like you have to pay to apply for those awards. And people don't even realize it. And they'll be like, hey, so this restaurant got it in your city. What is it like? And I'll be like, really? It did? And then I come to find out they had to pay to apply to get that award. So there were hundreds, if not thousands of restaurants, winemakers, anybody in the industry who weren't even considered because they didn't pay. So pay to play. Exactly. So that, to me, that was the before times. And that's why I think we're seeing such a revolution right now, which is really cool to be a part of and to see. But yeah. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, someone dropped corporate expense accounts.
That was me. That was me because that's how I learned about wine from my dad originally. And my dad was a consultant and flew, Monday through Friday. He was at accounts all the time. And when do you have the business discussions? At dinner, and you're using your client to business expense accounts. And there were certain wines in that realm that became popular or had a status or that kind of thing. And so if you wanted to show you care about your client, you buy a certain wine. And I honestly feel like that was a big influence of what became like cult wines or fancy wines. I think it really did drive like business discussions at the dinner table and what was being served. So I actually think that still has an influence now, but obviously with the virtual world, there's been less of those visits, but I do still think that there is business status wines, and those are used and served at those events.
Yeah,
100%.
good point. And I'm wondering if, Robert Parker and the magazines are setting the status wines that are then being paid for by the corporate accounts, but we're paid for with pay to play. Like it's just people kind of patting each other on the back. I have heard a lot of like college wine 101, even from like 70s, 80s being a thing, how people learned about wine. And then one thing I was thinking about is what about like Good Housekeeping and all of those sorts of magazines that were like someone wrote red with beef, like that sort of wine pairing conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows about that.
Well, so I bought a really good, so I like to buy old wine books. It's just kind of a little hobby I have. Old wine books and old cookbooks. Like that's just my favorite thing to do ever. And we have up in Detroit, we have really good used bookshops. And I bought this huge tome, and it was clearly from the 60s or 70s that was for, it was the big book of wine or the great book of wine. I'll find it and I'll send you a picture, but it's very, arrogant, and it says you'll serve red Burgundy with dinner, and they really don't. It's either Burgundy or Bordeaux, so it's very Franco centric, so there's not really anything other, like they mention a handful of Italian wines, but so it's Eurocentric and then Franco-centric, and so that's kind of, I bet you two can speak to this as well, but people still to this day equate France is the best, which I get why, like they're really great wines that come out of France, but like I honestly don't think they're better than any other country, and so yeah, it's Eurocentric, it's Franco-centric, and that's what people thought of for the longest time. I have a hard time convincing people that Spanish wines not only are just as good as French wines, but that they've been around longer than Spanish wines or than French wines, so yeah, I think Eurocentrism kind of plays a factor in that.
And what food is recommended is very not as culturally diverse. Is everybody eating filet mignon? Probably not. So
Correct.
are we all, why are we pairing these classic wines with things that people aren't always eating? I think that is definitely something that is a focus and changing a little bit more now of like, no, what are you cooking at home? And let's pair your wines to that. I think that that's exciting in the COVID times, is staying home and cooking more, and what do you actually eat and what kind of wines do you want to have with what you're eating at home? So there is progress there, but yeah.
That put me to like, I guess, I don't know if this was said before times, but I feel like this was something that's changing too, depending on like what you've been exposed to, like tasting notes. I think like that was a big thing when I took my first class. I was like, I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, I've never smelled, I don't know, like that's not what my family cooks. That's not what I was raised with. I've never heard, like, so I think that that's changing, and being like in learning that it's okay if I've never had, I don't know, something that's always
like unripe papaya, or
right. Yeah. Like something, I'm just like, I that's my family we don't eat that. So it's just like, but just like those kind of things, and like just realizing, because I remember that first class I took, I was like, my God, I'm going to be terrible. This is not meant for me. Wine is not meant for me, just for that simple fact that I didn't know like what that was. But I think, yeah, like Eurocentric tasting notes for sure. But yeah, so it's just, I feel like times are changing, and whatever your cultural food is, like whatever there's always something that you can smell and taste when you're talking about wine, so I think in the before times, it was one set type of style. You heard the same kind of words that described it, and boop, 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 boop. So I think like now things are changing, which I think is really good. And it's okay if you've never smelled why can't I not think about what it was? But I remember I was just
Like you had one specific thing that stuck with you, or
yeah, and I just because at that time I had never smelled it. I didn't even know what it was, and I cannot. And I remember that kind of scarred me. So I don't even know why I can't think of it right now. But I was just like, oh wow,
Blocked it
yeah.
out.
And it was my first, yeah, maybe that was my subconscious, like, forget it. It was a terrible experience. But I remember thinking, and like, of course, I was the only Black person in the class as well. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what they're talking about. And like, just feeling so out of place. And like, why did I come here? Why did I sign up for this? All that was going through my head just because I didn't know a damn fruit. And I was just like, so it's kind of crazy. But I think like, yeah, like out with the old, in with the new, whatever. It's really whatever the hell you smell. Like it's whatever you experience, it's whatever you smell, it's whatever you taste, subjective. It's like there's no whatever I may like something and you don't like it, it's vice versa. Like there's no set. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things too that's changing. Like you said with points. I'm like, everyone's like, you got to get the points. No, I saw something that was like how to wine shop when you go to a wine shop. And if that's what you do, that's okay too. But it was like one of the lists, the pointers was like, look for the points. And I was just like, no,
it's
no,
actually the opposite for me.
no. Right. I was just like, no. Yeah, but that was like one of the things. Look for the points. Get a bottle with points. And I was just like,
And were the points ever described, like a 93 versus a 94? Like, does anyone really know? Or is it
He
just
had
a
a-
one guy's taste?
He had a rubric, but that's the thing. He created the rubric,
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Based on his palate. It was
right,
like
his
his
palate,
tasting.
exactly. Yeah.
can you
So
imagine having that kind of power? Like,
and
yeah,
For
arrogance,
years,
right.
decades even.
What I say goes. It's whatever
right.
I taste, even though
I
my
actually,
tongue is not your tongue.
And it's usually red. It's just red. It's big red wines.
Yeah,
Like it's just
yeah.
huge red wines that get 99, and it's like, okay, well, what if I don't want a huge red wine right now? Like, what if I want a crazy little small production spritzy rosé from northern Spain right now? Like, I'm sorry, that's not your palate, but yeah.
Right.
I'm over here resonating with what you said, or it resonated with me that you said that just because the tasting notes, you felt like you didn't know what they were, you thought for a second that wine wasn't for you. That is so serious of a feeling that I never want anyone to feel in wine. And to have you say that just you didn't see yourself in the flavors or didn't trust yourself that you were tasting what you were supposed to taste, that you for a second thought wine wasn't for you. Never again will I let that happen to anybody. I cannot.
Yeah.
That is so wild to me.
Yeah, I remember sitting there and rhubarb. It was rhubarb. At the time I had never smelled rhubarb, and I think I'm sure that's probably. But I've never cooked rhubarb. I've never had rhubarb growing up. That's exactly what it was, and I was just like, and they're like, yeah, this is rhubarb. And I'm like, what the hell is rhubarb? Like,
Yeah, right.
I mean, no one in my family is amazing cooks, catering and like, food businesses and like, and I'm like, we've never made rhubarb. I don't even know what that is. And like, yeah, and I'm sure that's probably something so simple. I'm sure, but like for me personally, I had just never, and I know what it is now. But like, I just remember sitting there at that moment and I was just like, and but it was already like, I had already gone into a room, and I feel like that's what wine is. I had already gone into a room, which is at this point in my, I mean, I'm a Black woman in America, so it's not really off, but but I was in a room and I was the only Black person. And then on top of that, then that happened. And it was just like, it just compiled. And I was just like, yeah, what the hell was I thinking? Sign up for this. Yeah, I don't know if this is what I should stick to, but I did, and I love it. And I think, we're talking about social media, and I think social media is really changing that. I feel like people are really finding their space in their, in wine. So like maybe, someone smells something like something different. Like I'm realizing just like culturally, the cultural foods, I keep saying like cultural foods. And it's just like, yeah, I smell this in it where someone might smell that. And that's great if that's what you've been exposed to, but I've never been exposed to rhubarb in my life.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to smell rhubarb because I've never had it. I've never smelled it. So, yeah, but it's just like, and then when you see people, like I've seen people like that I follow put up things like, this smells like such and such. And I'm like, yes, it does. Like, it smells like that's something that I've been exposed to. And that's something that I smell. And like, on one of my videos, it was just like being funny, but it was just like, at the same time, my mom loved Shaft. Growing up, she loved Shaft and like leather. And I always think of leather. I always think of Shaft. Like, this is what Shaft's jacket would smell like. So it's just like things like that. So I always like, yep, this is what Shaft jacket. Like, she loved Shaft. So it's just like, so when I think of leather or things like that, or I think of like, um, I say like your grandfather's tobacco pipe, I mean, or your like your Southern grandfather's smokehouse, that you're never allowed into. Like, so things like that more so resonate with me, whereas rhubarb just doesn't. Like, I just don't, I don't make that connection. Like, it doesn't connect with me. So I feel like whatever, and then honestly, it's like whatever you smell, that's what you smell, and that's what you're going to connect with that wine. And when not saying that everyone's doing blind tastings or whatever, but when you smell that, like, oh wow. When I think of like honeysuckle, I always just think about like my childhood. There was a honeysuckle plant, but for me, that was the marker of how far I was allowed to go on my street. So I couldn't go past that. And then like my sister and I, you can like, pull the leaves and get the little sap or whatever. But those are kind of things that stick out to me when I smell things like that. So yeah, but like nostalgia, but yeah,
Candace,
I'm
you
just
like,
rambling. I'm
no, no,
rambling.
no, it's okay because like you're saying everything that like you're like you just summed up my professional ethos and actually my entire approach to wine. And so like I come from a linguistics background, and there's a whole theory. It's like if you don't have a word for something, how can you conceptualize it? So if you're talking about boysenberry, I don't know what boysenberry smells like. I've never tasted a boysenberry, and so if somebody says that, then you're like, so my rule, and at the beginning of every single one of my tastings, I say no tasting notes from me. Like, I'll tell you all about the producer. I'm going to tell you about this grape. I'm going to tell you about the history of Spain, but I'm not going to give you any tasting notes because what I found is that they exclude people. And I say we all have different chemistries. And so you might smell chocolate, I might smell cherry. Neither of us are wrong, and that's okay. But if I say, don't you get the scent of this? Immediately, if somebody doesn't get that, then they will not enjoy the wine as much. And I think there have been actual scientific studies where like that or that psychological, just that fear literally affects your physical sensory enjoyment of the wine. So now that you're scared and feel stupid, the wine's not as good because you're like, I don't know what that is. I should be tasting this. I don't taste it. So you freak out. So I always say no tasting notes for me. And I do exactly what you do. When I was selling wine, I sold contexts. So I'd be like, this is the wine where you're just getting home from work. You had a really hard day, and maybe it's Friday and your friends are texting you and they want you to go out, but you're like, no, I don't want to go out. I want to take my pants off and sit on the couch and I want to pour this glass of wine. And everybody has had that feeling. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter what job you do, right? Like, doesn't matter what socioeconomic status you come from or anything really. Like, everybody's had a hard day at work and doesn't want to think about something. And then everybody's like, yeah, I have had that. And there's no tasting notes in there, and then before you know it, everybody's connecting about a context instead of tasting notes. And so then the wine is the thing that brings everybody together. So it's like, I'm telling you, you've had it, and then now you're enjoying that wine better. Does that make sense? And so it's like, no, yeah, no tasting notes, just context. Now, Kelly, I know like you teach people how to taste wine though. So it's harder, right, for you, but you're teaching them the principles of it, not what you're tasting, right?
I help people discover how to describe what they're tasting, and so it's your personal marker. So the next time you visit that wine, whatever you were able to articulate for you, then now you have a marker the next time you taste that wine. Because again, yeah, for me, if I have a marker for Sauvignon Blanc that like doesn't resonate with anybody else, then they're never going to get it right in a blind
Right.
tasting. So it's really about finding, I actually focus more now on blind tasting, and for me personally, on structure, the way it feels, the way that it like hits my palate. Those are markers for me of where the wine might be from, what type of climate, hot, cold, acidity, tin, and structure. Like that is something that I think people can talk about feeling, and then how that becomes the flavors that you're smelling and tasting maybe a little bit different to you, but at least you're learning what it is to you. I just think that you guys are on the same page of like, why exclude people from wine? Like, shouldn't the point be to bring everybody to
And that's,
wine? More
yeah,
people drinking wine. That's more fun that way.
that's what it is too. When it comes down to it, it's inclusionary, you know, like, and getting people in together to experience the wine together. So yeah, we got this.
Awesome. I love
We're
it.
going on tangents, Vanessa. You're gonna have to pull us, bring us back.
No,
in. I'm like
no. I mean, we're
inspired by you guys.
essentially at time. I really wanted to talk about the future of social media.
We can.
And then I just flip through the next few slides because we can pick one to do quickly. So there's the whole like lawful good to chaotic evil thing, which may be a little too involved.
What about the best like social media accounts, but just mainly like maybe two that we like to follow? Because I want to hear from y'all, like who sticks out to you. I think I trust your judgment on these things. I want to know what you like to see.
Listen, y'all, I got nowhere to be. Can we do I want to do the lawful one, and I also want to do the list. Can we do both? Is that okay? Are you guys good with that?
I'm totally fine with that.
Vanessa,
Yeah.
are you cool with that?
I have my
I'm
glass of
good.
wine. I'm, off work. I put on my cream. I'm good.
Okay,
to
good.
go.
You don't have to run off.
See, you're selling a context, right? Like I'm in my shorts right now. You can't see it, but I'm in my comfy shorts right now. So
Oh yeah.
I got my rosé. It's a little rainy out up here. I'm chilling.
Right.
So where are we? What are we doing? We're gonna do the
future. Do you want to do that one first, Vanessa?
do it.
I mean, I say let's skip future unless
Okay, because
something comes up.
well, we did kind of talk about what's changing.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Right.
kind of is the opposite of what the 4 times you could kind of theoretically it would be the opposite of that. So okay.
I
got it.
basically just want to know like when we're gonna get smell-o-vision. And also the thing in Willy Wonka when you could like take it out of the TV.
Yeah. I was
Anyways,
gonna.
that's really
so
all I want to talk
when
about.
you sent the questions, I said like you can hit it on Instagram and then turn on your kitchen tap, and that wine comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know how to describe that, but yeah, we don't have to do the future. I always try and like do less and then we never do all the questions. Okay,
Listen.
so I threw up some like prompts, like Meiomi has come up a lot as something that people find objectionable, that could go into these categories. And if you're not familiar with this, I think this comes from D&D.
Is it really?
I have never done this before.
I've never
I'm
yet.
very,
Fun.
very intrigued right now.
Yeah, this
So
is
I
we're
think
very
Sean and I spend
categorizing-
more time on the internet than the rest of
Too much time on the internet.
yeah. So basically there's lawful, neutral, chaotic, and then you kind of go down to good, neutral, and evil. So an example of, let's say, Jeff Bezos, right? He's a billionaire, lawful evil, or maybe he's neutral evil. I don't know. Or maybe you don't think he's evil at all. Maybe you think he's chaotic good. He could fit into any of these categories. So like Meiomi is legal, what they do with their wine. However, I think a lot of wine professionals think it's also evil. So I think, yeah, that's where I had potentially put it. The harvest selfie, when you didn't actually do harvest, you just like walked in there and took the picture. Is that
Sorry.
neutral?
Oof.
Is that neutral
That hits
evil?
Candace probably real deep right now. Like,
Yeah.
you did not.
You just
You
pulled
did
your
not do
car
that.
over on the side of the road and ran in. Yeah.
Floppy hat and all.
Mm-hmm.
I
The
might say
wedge heels.
chaotic neutral, maybe.
Or like canned wine. Could be good, could be bad. I don't know, So I was just trying to
I'm
give some
not gonna
prompts,
lie.
but
I love canned wine just for its. I do. I enjoy it
I
because
like
it's
it, too.
portable. You can really just take it. And I'm a clumsy person too. So like if I'm out, I don't have to worry about dropping my glass or breaking my glass, which I do pretty much all the time. Yeah, I think it's good. I
Concerts.
want
Concert
canned
tailgates.
wine to stay forever.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will
But you guys can
always
make
do
more
that.
of these.
Oh, we make our Post-its and then we
Yeah,
them
I
in
was
the
just showing
page.
you some examples if you guys weren't familiar with the
Yeah.
concept.
Okay.
I'm with you on the can lines because also too in Michigan we offer the highest deposit too. So when you return cans, it's 25 cents per can.
Ooh, oh wow.
What?
I'm
We
really
getting
used
rich
to
off this
true.
wine habit.
That's not true. It's 10
10?
cents, but it's still
10? Still good.
high.
That's still a
Still
lot,
good.
yeah.
They said it should be 25 cents.
That'd be nice.
Okay, good. I see someone making one.
Yeah, I'm
make
making one too. Okay.
Okay, let me think.
So these are like topics or like subject matter revolving around social media and wine. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Like someone mentioned before, the paid partnerships, like
Yeah.
lawful.
okay. Okay, this is good.
Read first lines. Okay.
People.
Ooh, okay. I want to see. I don't want to place this one. I want to see where people put it.
Ooh,
Oh my God. Like top Cabernet
Top
list.
20, top 20 of 2020. Yeah, like top
Which
rank
one?
lists or whatever. Yeah. I'm just
Okay.
I popped it there. Ooh, I think oh my gosh, this is getting tricky.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Buttery shard. And that I'm gonna kind of copy that and just oh yeah. Oh, well, I'm gonna put it over here though. Ooh, this is fun.
I feel like I'm playing a video game. I'm like, dude, I feel like I should have the Mario music in the background.
oh yeah.
Thank you guys for playing my games. I'm so happy that you're having fun.
Let's see.
I would say oak is like truly neutral.
Did we both just try to put it at the same time there? I feel like we both.
Did you really?
clicked
Yeah,
on-
because
yes.
like
Center of the
oak
board.
can be like the most beautiful thing, but
Oh
it
my
can
gosh,
also
yes.
be like the worst thing ever. So
Vineyard wedding photos.
Oh, I love
whoever
this.
wrote wine certifications, I feel like it's chaotic good because there are regulations and like holding yourself to higher standards, which I think is good. But then you get into like then some of them are exclusionary, and then they're it's money wise, like it costs a lot of money to do these sorts of things. But the intent was good, so that's why I put it in chaotic good. Or maybe it's more chaotic neutral.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it should be chaotic.
Yeah, because it can go both ways, right?
Yeah,
both
'cause I-
ways.
yeah, I made that one because as someone who's taken sort of like, but I would never have been able to afford the certifications that I'm currently in because they're so expensive.
Very
I see
Um,
that as exclusionary
Yeah,
in
it's
some
very,
circumstances.
when I
so,
say
yeah.
it's so exclusionary, it's wild.
right.
But I can
Yeah.
also see why. I mean, obviously, I'm learning things that I would not have unless I've took these courses, but it's just like, why do I have to, at the same time, it's like, why do I take these courses in order to learn this information? Yes, you can learn a lot of things on your own, and there is the internet, there's Google, there's all those things. But in order to have, those letters behind your name or to be taken seriously, you have to get these certifications. But like, who's getting these certifications? The demographic is it's pretty much the same. It's like,
Mhm. No, I
yeah.
feel that.
So
Yeah.
People,
And then
it's like I can
especially-
see both ways, but it's just like,
but then like look what happened with the court. Anytime that there's
Right. Right.
institutionalized power structures,
right,
they tend to
exactly.
get abused, and so the court of master sommeliers, there's all these allegations of sexual assault, and it's like anytime anybody's given a modicum of power, I swear to God, they usually abuse it. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I get weird pressure where people are like, oh, what are the certifications for the Somm on your app? And I'm like, I don't actually focus on certifications because they exclude people who don't have access or time, all of that. And I think you can be very good at your job without having a single certification.
mhm.
But I do love the work of people like Roots Fund who are helping people get what they want for their career to get where they want to go, as opposed to this other outside pressure. But it's weird. And I'm like, do you know the difference, wine consumer, of a WSET 2 versus 3? No. Do they know more than you? Yes. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's a very weird world.
I always feel very strange talking about this because I have not taken any exams. And there is a little bit of imposter syndrome that trickles in on that. But I've been working in wine in over 10 years. So and in wine production where certifications are not the lay of the land.
Right.
Never worked at a restaurant, that kind of thing. So I've learned a lot about wine in alternative ways, but I do feel like, gosh, like, does that not open certain doors or legitimacy in certain circles and that kind of thing? So I like where we've put it
Right.
in the
As
neutral.
someone who is currently in courses, like again, luckily I'm a Roots Fund recipient. We talk about Roots Fund. Like I said, I wouldn't have been able to afford it unless I did. But as someone who's, how can I say it, new to wine, like you've obviously managed a winery, right? I feel like that trumps a lot of people who have these certifications because you have the experience. For me, coming in, I was an elementary teacher for 8 years. I just enjoyed drinking after my hard day of work, right? So it's just like I was, and then I wanted to learn more about it. But I think if you're deep in the game of wine and you're actually, pushing it and talking about it on a daily basis, I feel like that trumps someone who, yeah, okay, I took this course. All right, but you throw me I can't manage a damn winery. Excuse me, I can't manage a winery, right? So it's just like all these things. I think it's you have to find a happy medium. It's like for me, I was coming into a whole new career. I think that was just something that I needed to kind of build that foundation. But at the same time, someone who's even studying for it, I'm like, wine certs are, I know I've met people, especially about being out here in Napa, who have never taken a course, and every time I'm around them, I'm just like, my God, how do you know all this? I mean, just so knowledgeable. So I think if you're in it and if you're doing it, I feel like you don't really need it. But I think that's when it comes down to like, yeah, like, okay, well, say if I want to apply someplace and then I'm going to get someone who has like all these certifications, but I don't know. I think like if you have the experience, I feel like that trumps it at times. Like, yeah, because I've also realized like, okay, I was learning about racking and all these things, but like I didn't really understand racking until I was, in a cellar, and I'm like, oh, this is racking. Okay, this is not what I was thinking of when I thought of racking. And to actually see it, I'm like, oh wait, I'm doing racking right now. This really makes sense. But like I wouldn't like, okay, yeah, I can answer that multiple choice question and get that correct. But can I actually explain the reasoning behind why this process needs to occur? So I think that's all those. Yeah.
And then the pop-up and then the sticky comes right after that comment. That was great.
But they'll say like, what do they say? That an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And it's the same. It's like an ounce of experience is worth a pound of theory, like, right. Or an ounce of observation is worth a pound of theory, so you can study it and study it and study it. And that's kind of my little aversion to like the court or whatever. Like, why do you need to have must weights memorized? Like, what does that actually contribute to your ability to relate wines to people who don't know anything about wines? Right. Like, to me, it just seems like a pissing contest after a certain point, Yeah. Sorry,
which reminds me, I put my little up, was like, oh wait, because how do you guys feel about just blind tasting in general? Where does that fall?
So I love it and I hate it. Like I love it just as like a personal growth thing. I think it's really cool to actually consider the beverage for what it is. I don't like this is what this should taste like. And actually, so Spanish wine guy, Albarino, beautiful white wine from Spain. Rías Baixas is their region up there in northwest Spain, and the producers have said the wines all used to taste different, but then the court came in and said this wine should taste like banana and apple, and X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden it was like the Robert Parker effect. The producers started making wines with a bottled yeast, like they brought in synthetic yeast because it has a banana taste that the DO said that they had to have, more or less. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like we're growing a little bit, and it's like, why should every wine taste the same? You know what I mean? Like, why should one grape, especially like with wine where soil, climate, region, like everything contributes to differentiation in wines? Like, why would you want each wine to taste the same and be able to pick it out? You know, so I guess I do hate it, you know, but yeah, it's like, I see the effects it has on small farmers, where now they have to create a wine that fits the mold of whatever governing body said it should taste like.
So I'm hearing you in this like maybe true neutral situation here, putting it there.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say, like, if you're using it as a personal journey to learn more about the wine and the grape, and like you said, Kelly, like the structure, the tannin, alcohol, like using it as a vessel to learn about the bones of winemaking, then I think it's great. If it's used to dictate how things should taste, then I think it's a bad thing.
I love that you brought that up. I wanted to put this here because I see people, social media is a lot of places where people are sharing their tasting notes or blind tasting results and that kind of thing. And I think it's such a way to combine your theory with your palate. And it's like, if you know a lot about how wine is made in certain places, you're going to be a better blind taster. So to me, it combines a lot of the region, the history, the wine production styles, and how that then is showcased in the wine. But I don't like it in the exclusionary sense, and I don't like it if it would dictate how someone makes. So yes, I see both sides. I'm just always curious of how wine professionals feel about it and the utility of it.
Sure. Yeah, there is a really good documentary on Amazon, and it was about the Albarino producers, and they said when they were growing up, you could tell, like, from a couple lots over, like their Albarino tastes very different from this one. And they said now they all more or less taste the same. And so we've lost a diversity of taste, you know, which is, I think it's really sad. So, but I see what you're saying 100%. So yeah, I think neutral good, or true neutral, I think would be.
Gonna need that documentary. I want to watch it.
It's really good.
I need the clothes from your friend Candace, and I need the documentary on Amazon about Albarino.
Right.
Do not forget to give me these things. Okay.
Okay, we only have one chaotic evil. Out of all of wine and social media, we just think celebrity endorsed wines are chaotic evil. I'm shocked. And lawful good is canned wine. Well, there's lots of good stuff, but
maybe Miami.
I saw a little post-it note slide across the screen magically. Oh my gosh.
Vivino. I didn't even see that. There, Vivino. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's kind of chaotic neutral.
Top lists. Okay. Yep.
I think this is pretty solid.
Buttery Shard. I just want to say I enjoy Buttery Shard. I do.
Yeah, I don't mind. You know, I always say
that I may not be drinking all the time, but when I have it, I'm like, yeah, there's a place for it.
It is what it is.
There's a place for it. Yeah,
for sure. When I go to weddings or like big events, you know, I always order the Chardonnay. I am never disappointed in what you just give me any Chardonnay.
I had a buttery
There
Chardonnay.
There are laws.
Buttery Chardonnay and Funyuns.
Okay. Now we're talking.
Pairing. I was just like, I had to get it for a course that I was taking, and I was just snacking on Funyuns, and I was like, oh, my mind is blown. This is out of this world. Yeah, buttery Chardonnay and Funyuns, if you're interested.
That could.
At least for me.
I'm into that.
All right, I'm changing this sticky.
Okay.
It's going lawful good, I think.
Lawful good.
Like, how do I spell Funyuns? Is that how you spell it? I do love Funyuns.
Isn't it just onions with a U and an F?
No,
I don't know, actually. That looks good.
It's definitely not
that
onions.
Looks good. That looks good. Yeah. I can say that.
Isn't it like
phonetically it works?
Oh no, I think Funyuns. Okay.
Bottle picks. I'm good. I'm good for a bottle pick.
Ooh, I like them. I like it. There are, you know, we kind of had in the before the, you know, the white man putting his bottle picture. There's a lot of those guys on Twitter, especially, but like I like seeing the bottles because it's
Yeah.
label recognition to me. So I like to see what they are. I do
Yeah.
Especially
that.
if you tag the producer too, and then they
Right,
get the
exactly.
recognition
That's
and
what-
all that. Yeah. Oh.
And
Yep.
there's so much cool art now.
Mhm.
Yeah, the labels are really great.
Or
Yeah.
significance
does-
to the place, or there's producers that are taking photos of the vineyard and putting them on the bottle, and it's like, oh, that's cool, I haven't been to that vineyard, but like, yeah, so sometimes it can be a very significant reason why the bottle looks that way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, wine meme accounts. Love those.
I
Shitty
would say
wine memes.
chaotic good on those.
I love shitty wine memes.
Shitty
Me
wine
too.
memes is the
God, so
best.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can be
IG
chaotic too.
Yeah,
I would say
Instagram
more
Live lives. I think those
chaotic.
are good. Like the lives, as someone who does lives, I think they're good. But I think it also came out of a necessity too, obviously with COVID and pandemic. But I think it's also just a good connector of like someone like I would never. I mean, I'm obviously not in Detroit. I'm not in Atlanta. I'm not in Alaska. So it's like I feel like we can. I mean, it's also those technology things like Zoom. And I think that's a really great thing to. And I feel like Instagram is so, at least how I use it, it's very, how can I say, so I said when I have like my Instagram live, it's just very like we're just chatting as we normally would, informal. Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's very mine are so informal. It's just like chill, laid back. It's nothing so serious, and it's like just because that's not something that I enjoy, that seriousness of wine, because I've been in it, and I was just like, oh, whoa, this is a little too much for me. So yeah, I think chaotic, good. I think chaotic in the sense of like they came out of a necessity. We want to keep it chaotic, and then chaotic because like I don't know, a lot of people are using it maybe, but I definitely think it's a good for sure.
Well, and when you're good at it, you rise to the top. It gives people an opportunity where that's a skill that a lot of people don't have.
Right.
Like you can, like I found yours, Candace, because of your
Right.
lives, and
Yeah.
I think because you were doing them well, those people will continue to get the following based
Yeah.
on that skill.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it gives another skill set opportunity.
Right.
Democratization, right? Democratization.
Yep.
You don't need
Right.
money to do that, right? Like you can just do it. And
No,
that's
no,
really
yeah.
cool.
It's so funny because like my lives, my Instagram, to be honest with you, it all came from a point of showing and proving to my mom that like I'm not just a drunk and like I'm doing like I'm like, see, mom, people are coming on, like this is real. Like,
Real mom.
yeah.
Cheers.
I was just
Cheers,
like,
Mom.
she's like, I
And
mean,
now you live in wine country. So
right,
yes,
right. He's
I
like,
think this
I'm
was
like, no,
all
Mom, this
part
is
of
a
the
real
plan.
That's
it's
so
a real
cool.
thing. Look, I have winemakers coming on. Like, so yeah.
That's
but,
hilarious.
yeah, so but I think I like how it. You guys don't like vineyard wedding photos? You're not into the weddings coming into the.
I just it's so done, isn't it? Like it's so overdone. Like I get it, they're beautiful and they're fun, and that's where the wine's made. And honestly, too, like if the vineyards themselves can make money off of that, I think it's such a good like revenue source and kind of like it's like with restaurants when they have space, for event space. It's a
Mhm.
really good insurance policy to make sure that the operation as a whole survives.
Right.
So I'm here for it. That's why it's neutral, but there's so many people that it's like they're just posting and it's like this is really bad wine and like I don't know. So there's a lot.
I did a lot of weddings at the winery I worked at. We had a lot of weddings.
Yep.
So, and it was a huge part of the business. And
Mhm.
honestly, I'm right there with you, Sean. If it balances out of, you have the event space, but how's the wine taste? And then if the wine is still a priority, but you have this beautiful space, then it can be part of your business model.
Right.
But I see that your angst is more with the people taking the photos.
Yeah, God, I'm such a curmudgeon, aren't I? Like I just hate everyone. There's just so much, I don't know, veneer, like there's just so much. My life is in shambles. I'm very unhappy, but look how pretty my photos are, and it's like
Well, that social media period, I feel like.
And that's I guess my biggest thing is just the lack of authenticity. And we even in marketing, we have photographers and they take amazing photos, but after a certain point, if your photos are so lacquered and so beautiful, you start to not be able to relate to it anymore. You
Mhm.
know, so like all of you have reposted a picture that I posted of myself very hungover yesterday, you know, and it was actually
With the
kind of
sherry?
yeah, and I was
That's
drinking
so
sherry
funny.
to
I thought you were
mitigate said
thinking of your
hangover, but
word.
it was kind of intentional. It's like, hey, here I am in my shorts, like here I am hungover and pale and just altogether unkempt, you know, and I'm still enjoying myself and I'm comfortable and I'm okay saying, hey, look, this is not a pretty polished picture of who I am, because then you start to lose, you can't connect with that anymore, you know. And my main thing is we're all human beings, we all make mistakes, we all make informed decisions as best as we can. So like, let's not lose that humanity, you know. So I can't, I don't know. I used to have a rule when I was on, like when I was dating online, and if I went to that person's Instagram and it was just selfies and very, very good selfies, it was like, probably not. Like this probably isn't gonna work, you know, because it's just so polished, you know, and you're putting out this ideal of yourself and you're losing a little authenticity. So that's kind of my whole shtick about the in your wedding photos.
Yeah, a little grit is nice.
I like a little grit. I'm from Detroit. I love grit, you know? So and that's what makes the city great, you know? So anyway, sorry.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready to move on to our favorite accounts ever?
Sure.
Speaking of, yeah, I think that's a great little segue there, Sean. So who do you like that isn't too polished? Who
Oh my
has
God,
some merit?
right.
You know, that's what I'm
Spell
thinking.
gay. I can't remember. I feel like there's an
I
I.
need that. But I
Yes.
think authenticity is like something I value so highly.
Oh yeah, we already put shitty wine memes. Yeah, for sure.
I'm liking the subculture sommelier account. I think that's what
Ooh.
they're called.
I don't
They're
know
pretty
that.
good, but I don't want to like promote anyone who isn't shitty wine memes because I love shitty wine memes so much.
I do that.
Oh, I'm not following them. I need to follow, I'm gonna follow them right now. See, perfect.
Yeah, this is good brainstorming. Or is it?
Yeah, Sean, no matter what I did, it puts that E at the second line for yours. So sorry.
No, that's okay.
I think, I mean, you guys all create like content I love. And it's weird to say that, sorry. But
no, it's okay.
it's sort of like refreshing, educational, it's casual, but not like obviously you put time and energy into it and you're all three of you very good at what you do, but it's it puts you at ease because I can tell you're at ease. And you know, when we were talking about lives, like a lot of lives are cringe to be on or watch because the person is uncomfortable and they're nervous and they're like, oh, is this cool? And it's, you guys don't put out that vibe at all. So I just wanted to
Oh, thank you.
let you guys know I like your stuff.
Thanks, because I feel very awkward sometimes. And that maybe that goes to the
doing social media.
Yeah, right.
well,
Mortifying.
well, because you compare constantly to what other people are doing, especially in your niche and your passion. And then it's like, how do I do something that that shows who I am, even if it might look similar to what someone else is doing? What makes me different? And you constantly are playing in your head like, but everyone's doing it, but that's not me, but I should do it because everybody's doing it, but I don't want to. My mind goes in a million ways. Instead of saying, no, this is who I am, here's a little bit of my life. That is what makes you unique on social media is you are unique. You are enough. Like you are you. And I think that can be a challenge sometimes. Just make it so big. You want to go for authenticity and a little grit. There's your account right there.
And follow me. No, I'm gonna make it.
This is amazing.
Well, because you also have was it Vinyl and Vine? What is it called?
We didn't actually have our own account though. That's the thing.
Okay.
It was through the Spanish Wine Guy, but it was just Vinyl, but Vineyl. So that was honestly, I'm probably the most proud of that out of anything, because it if you don't like wine but you love music, you can still kind of see the connection, you know, and what you're getting at. So like, even if you're not even drinking the wine, based on the song, you're giving somebody a context to understand the wine that we're drinking through music, which I thought was really, really cool. And a lot of people are doing that. We didn't invent pairing, you know, like we did not invent pairing wines with music, but we took it and said, Will doesn't know about wine, but he can still make a connection. He can still analyze it for what it is without knowing anything about it. It was like, how does this wine make you feel? It makes me feel like this song, and I thought it was really cool. It was a really special time, especially during COVID and the pandemic and being at home. Like, how can we get creative with our time and connect with people? And it was really fun.
Your grandmother's glasses. What was it? Grandma's glasses came
We've
out.
got and I like that too. Like we've got grandma's plates and great grandma's flutes and great grandma's teacups, and we honestly use it all. And that's part of my ethos as a business.
Oh my God, chicken and champagne is amazing.
That's a good
Yes.
one.
Oh
Yes.
God, the aesthetic is just drool.
The
Yeah.
Insta stories, like I'm like,
Oh my God.
Getting my
She put in
phone.
time.
Oh my God,
I
it's like
don't-
addictive. I mean, that is content at the highest level, I
I
would
mean,
say.
when
It's
I
all
say
together.
the highest, her stories, she's put in time and effort, and she's come correct. She has done her research, and yeah, chicken and champagne is I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. She has it down to a science. Like her Insta stories are just the best. Like I don't
They're
even know
so
how she
beautiful.
does all her Insta stories, how she does it, but love her.
This
Yeah,
is
we get a
great. I
lot.
just followed. I honestly got my phone out right now because I'm like, oh, this
I
is
know,
great.
yeah. I'm
Okay,
literally
here
looking
I
at
go.
it. I gotta figure out all these really good. Yeah.
Well, if you guys feel comfortable, I will post pictures of our jam board. Do you guys feel
Yeah.
comfortable with that? I
For
don't think we said
sure.
anything too bad.
We didn't say
Okay.
anything
No, I
bad.
think we were great. I think
Yeah.
we were.
Oh,
Yeah.
Vanessa, you ain't heard bad.
I didn't think we were bad at
I
all.
know. I'm
but
like, oh, I
wanted
can get wild and crazy.
Yeah, let me go open up that other bottle
Let's
of
start
wine.
our OnlyFans
Yeah.
account. We'll do
Yeah.
our
Right. Hey.
Right here,
Right?
right now.
I was thinking, I was like, should we do Telesomm After Dark? Is that like next level?
Ooh, that's
Oh, that's
ooh,
fun.
I like that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Oh my goodness.
Don't worry, Kelly. You don't have to
Where
be.
they go?
I'll need a new
Adult,
background. I'm gonna need a new
Adult Swim.
background. Like
Adult
this is-
Swim.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
There's so many good. I didn't actually look up the name of mine, but I love Natty Wine Rhymes. I think they're
Ooh.
German. They drink natural wine and then they like, I don't think they're freestyling because they're very well put together, but they have like beats and they rap them while drinking the wine and they are very good.
That sounds fun.
And then the Children's Wine Atlas, I really don't know why it's called that, but it's
Oh
always
yeah,
hand
yeah,
drawn,
yeah.
Ooh.
hand
I got
drawn
my phone
maps.
again. This
And
This
is
is so
wine.
informative. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Chablis knees, I love. Yeah.
Atlanta, that's Atlanta,
It's
isn't
Atlanta.
it?
There's a lot of
Kelly?
Atlanta. Terroirs by Adeline. Is that Atlanta?
So no, she used to live in Atlanta, but she's
Okay.
centered in Beaune. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
visited her there when I've gone to Burgundy, and she's a chef plus wine expert, and she is so cool. Like, and you get behind the scenes, Burgundy stuff all the time. So she lives like in the heart of Beaune. Coolest place. If you ever go, you've got to reach out to her.
That's cool.
Cool.
I'm gonna put
I know we have so much. There's so many more here that I'm like, I'm gonna regret it later that we didn't.
Chablis knees. I gotta find that one.
Yeah.
You don't follow Chablis?
No, I
What?
do not. Oh, yeah, no, finding it now.
There is so many. I'm like, yeah, okay.
There's so many.
Is it Freeman's?
Okay, what's the best winery account?
Oh my god.
Good call.
That's
Good call.
hard.
Well, so I put grapes with a view. So that is Sam Couturi with 16600 wines. So it's his account, but technically he's, it's his winery. So great because we were talking about kind of like, knowing what people are using in their winemaking styles and how they're treating their workers, all of that. Like he raises those types of issues because he's so on the production side of wine. So he always gives winery insights, wine industry background, I would say. I like following him for that. In Sonoma, he's in Sonoma County.
Okay, and same. I put Joe Swick.
Mhm.
Because he is just like, he makes the coolest wines. He uses so many different varietals, which is great. And his like, the only word I can describe his Instagram is rustic. Like, it's so authentic. Like, it is clearly not manicured, like, and he's funny and he posts like random shit sometimes that has nothing to do with wine. And I actually appreciate that. So yeah, I would say Joe's he's such a cool guy. Like he gets a bad rep because he's quiet and shy, and so people think he's weird. And it's like, no, he's actually like a really, really cool guy.
Just followed, and I added Dirty South Wine because that's Hardy Wallace, formerly of Dirty and Rowdy, started his own new thing, but he does cool like video. I mean, his media production stuff is crazy, and usually fermenting grapes are involved. So highly recommend that.
Like that.
What was that one? What was the last one? Sorry, say it again.
Dirty South Wine.
Dirty.
Hardy Wallace. Yeah, and he used to live in Atlanta. And then now he makes his own wine, but he's got great videos and family stuff. And yeah, he's cool.
Oh my God, I can't think of it right now. There's a person, a photographer who goes around Spain taking pictures of people, and they're like the coolest pictures. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like
Drink in Moderation. I was gonna put
is that what it is?
I think he's Spanish, I think.
It's Drink in Moderation. It 100% is Drink in Moderation.
And his videos are like pause in time, like wine flying everywhere. Yes, I love his account.
Like, and his pictures will be like where he's drinking a glass and like spray wine everywhere, and it looks so cool.
Yep.
Drink in Moderation. Yep.
I feel like the consensus is that we all kind of love wine and social media.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't sure what we were going to come away with today, but I certainly have like love in my heart for it. You get this insight you don't get anywhere. Oh my God. Oh wait, I definitely saw that.
Like that's a picture.
Did we add him? Do I need to do this? At Drink in Moderation.
Added. Like these are the coolest photos ever.
Mm-hmm. They really are.
Fun.
Okay. Sorry, Vanessa, that was like the perfect segue too.
Oh no, that's all. I was trying to make like groups.
We love it. And then Sean comes up.
Look at this.
Look at this photo.
I was trying to make groups, but nah, I gave up. Yeah, it's too much.
There's okay, so non-wine accounts that I like using for wine purposes are Absolutely Fabulous, that British show from the early 90s, because they're just drunk all the time, and so they randomly say things about it, and I love using that. And they go to France the one time, and they're at a tasting, and they're just going, this is the one we like, this is the one, no, okay, this is it. And so Will and I, my partner, like I'll pour some more wine and he'll be like, this is the one we like, this is it. Just sorry.
This is a good list. I'm sure I'm gonna beat myself up for not thinking of other people. I mean, there's so. I mean, I can put everyone that I follow, but then that would just go on and on. And on.
Yeah.
This is a solid list.
Definitely agree with the overarching statement of we all seem to pretty much like wine and social media. It brings me joy. If that is something in, when things are not so great, it is definitely a community. And I even made a post one time. I was really having a hard week and I wasn't on Instagram for like, I don't know, like a whole week. And that was weird for me. And it probably means I'm obsessed, but I like had a hard time and I had a bunch of people reach out like, are you okay? Like, and it was like real people. This was not like just like fake accounts. It was like people that actually matter. And holy cow, what a community there. Like that is a beautiful thing. And I know there's negative, and I know that there's kind of this other side to it, and it can go both ways, but I do appreciate the community behind the accounts that I follow. So yeah.
I would never have met any of you without social media.
Hello.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
And Sean, we even lived in the same city and I didn't know who you were.
Right.
So
and now we're going on 2 hours when it was supposed to be 1 hour,
Right. Yeah, this goes back to connections for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and here we are. So like just learning from each other in a way that would never have been possible even 10 years ago. Right. Like, I know, sure, there was more connection 10 years ago than there was 20 or 30, but this probably would not have been possible 10 years ago. So yeah, it's so interesting. Like I've only met my boss once, like we met this way, and it's just, so despite all the bad, like you said, Kelly, there is a lot of good, a lot of really, really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So thank
Get
I
on a
hope
higher
Courtney's
note
still
than
there.
that.
Thanks for Courtney for sticking with us past this hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks,
she's
Courtney.
asleep.
Just walked
Yeah.
away.
She's
Oh,
in
she's
So
here.
she's creeping.
Yeah.
She's alive.
love it. You guys,
Um,
great.
Well, thank you guys. And so I'll post this and the recording will be on our YouTube. And if you have any objections to that, just let me know and we can sort it out. And we'll donate to your 3 charities, which I'm so excited about. And I love all your choices so much. So thank you. And yeah, this has been great. Thanks for hanging out and playing.
Thank you. Just thank you for even, thinking of me, and, Kelly, thanks for, putting my name in there in the hat, and yeah, I hope, I'm pretty sure we will all be in contact after this. Like you said, social media brought us together, and I just feel we have so much in common, and I'm just really thankful to even just be in this space with all of you. So thank you.
Amen.
Guys, yay.
Yeah. The power of wine.
The power of
Power of
wine.
wine.
The power of wine. Yeah. Yes. On that note, right. Well, cheers to you all. Hey, if you have a glass, or
Yeah.
if you don't drink, or you
Have a little
do, and yeah,
Cheers.
cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
you guys. Have a good night.
Have a great rest of
Bye.
your night.
Yes.
Bye,
you too.
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye,
All right,
Courtney.
bye-bye.
See ya. Bye, Courtney.